A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Myself, Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual Jforex, we will be looking at the basic blocks of the Visual Jforex setup. Here, we will be starting up fresh, and after Friday's introduction session, we will take a look on the building blocks, and in this case, the blocks itself. So here we get started. We consider some of the basics of the Visual Jforex platform, which will help us in developing the algorithms, the automated trading setup in our coming sessions. So in today's session, we will consider the basic aspects of this platform, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA, and it is pretty helpful, pretty useful if we want to automate trading algorithms working for us instead of taking all the trouble manually. So here we will consider first the blocks. Block, as I would like you to know, is a basic component, and I will also give you an example here. So if you want to consider this whole development paradigm, then it is going to revolve around different blocks. So it is all about the block, and block is the building block of our algorithm setup. So here, as you can see, this is the stepping stone, and here are some example as well. These are different blocks. There is a historical candle block. There is open at market a block. So these blocks, what they do is they work out the flow, and it can be of different types, the components, indicators, or strategy, and we can do multiple types of the processing, data processing. We can take it for looking at the historical data. We can use it for doing some calculations. We can use this for different logic. So then these blocks can be subdivided into categories: the indicator, strategy, the components, and then depending on what is your end use, or what you are trying to do, then these blocks can be further classified. So as you can see, if we go into the indicator block section, we have these all types of block: Bill Williams, MA, mathematical, momentum, oscillator, etc. So you will see all these blocks in work. And if we go in further, then you get to see individual blocks, and these are individual indicator blocks here. And we have to work with these indicators depending on the kind of setup we want to develop. And so this can be of any type, different setups. One more thing is the strategy blocks. Here what happens is we take already made strategies, and these are sources for different strategies: the anti-trade, complex, contest. This contest section is actually the Dukascopy's contest, which it runs for determining the most profitable strategy, and every month we get new strategies which are profitable for that month. So if we want to use any of it, you can even use it as a block, and then you can use it to trade, or you can simply use it to generate signals. So it will work both ways, and here we will get to see some examples as well. It is taking some time to load. So okay, we got it. Now suppose let us take this example A. This is the first. So here this is a strategy. Actually it's a whole strategy, and it has been compressed into a block. And as you can see the basic function it is going to do is it is independent, so it will trade. And suppose if we change this to generate only signals, then it will only generate signals, and it won't execute any trade. And if suppose we extend this flow and we join it somewhere else, then if these parameters, whatever are the parameters, we are not going to go into the details of this. So whatever are the parameters defined in this strategy, once they are fulfilled, a fresh signal will be generated, and then the trading will happen. So it can work that way as well. And if we consider another example, let us take a different example here. Anything will do. So we take this DEMA2, and here we have this strategy which has been now compressed as a single block. So here you will need different types of flow for it to work. Suppose if you join on candle, it is still red, it means that only one flow is connected. We also need the on tick for it to work, and still it is red, which means we also need this start point, the trade event. And now this is all ready to work. So on tick, on candle, trade event, the initiation is on all these three start points. And then these are the parameters. Actually we are, as I said, we are not going to delve into the details of these workings. And here you can even get some brief summary of these blocks. And this strategy is going to trade, and if you don't want it to trade, we can simply change it to generate only signals, and we can also use this as a independent block. And then let us suppose we have to add fresh conditions. Then we have different blocks here, the components, and then these component blocks are further divided into info, logical, mathematical, miscellaneous, other, and trading. So depending on the functions, the workings of these blocks, if you want to gather info, that is the information, the data from the charts, then you can use the info block. And basically they are historical candle and historical candle. Suppose if you want to use a one candle for a particular period of say 1 minute, 10 seconds, 1 hour, or 4 hour, or day, whatever you want. And you have to take a candle, you have to define a look back period, you have to define the time, and then you will have this information at your hand to be used for the further setup. Suppose if we get this block and then generate only signals, so it will pass the flow here, and then we will have fresh information to consider. And then there is a workflow. So if we have these conditions defined, then later on we can add some logical conditions. For that we will need the logical block. So here you have if block. So if and else, this is a statement. Actually, if the conditions are fulfilled, certain thing will happen. If the conditions are not fulfilled, then certain other thing will happen. So it is like that. And the loop viewer, you can take in the data and you can put it in the loop, and you can use it multiple times. Multiple action, this is kind of used for getting multiple flows. So suppose if you want to get multiple flows to different setups down the line, then you can add and have almost 5 flows from these. And you can even do multiple, or you can say numerous. So here you keep adding this, and you will have almost kind of unlimited, you can say. We don't need that many, but still, for as a example, for theoretical purpose, we can consider that possibility as well. Position viewer, sometimes you need to see if there is any position open and what needs to be done with that position. In that case, we can use this position viewer block. So here we have these all types of blocks here, mathematical, to do the arithmetic calculations, and we have these all three blocks developed for that purpose. We have miscellaneous blocks as well, get time unit, the sound alert stop strategy. If you consider the example of get time unit, then we can use these blocks actually to retrieve the data and the time with regards to the parameters chosen in the setting. And we can use this for defining the time of the day, or say a week or month. So you basically use this to define the time during which the trades are supposed to happen. If you don't want the trading to happen during any particular time period, then you can make that setting using this get time unit. So it's for that purpose. Stop strategy. If you want the strategy to stop after certain conditions have been fulfilled, then you bring this. Similarly, we have all other types. This is the other block, and in other section we have some blocks. It is not showing up here. In trading, so these are for final execution. We use this open at market, pending open, custom trailing stop, close and cancel. So these are for final execution. So all these blocks are fairly important. You can even say they are actually building blocks. So this is the brief description for these blocks. And now, as I have tried to explain to you the indicator part, so here, now if we go into the details of the indicators, as I have already said, we have all types of indicator which have been developed priorly. And one more important thing is you can even develop your own indicator, and you can then use it just like any other indicator which has been developed. And if you consider this description here of the visual Jforex helper, then it is the conditions parameter, and this needs to be compulsorily added for any particular setup to work. So we use this. And if you consider any indicator block as example, I would explain to you its components. Suppose let us take an indicator of MA type. Here we have all these indicators of different types, and let us choose randomly. We are not going to be particularly concerned with its functionality at the moment. We are simply looking at the function basic build of any indicator. So here we have this linear regression slope. Now in any block of the indicator, you will have this name on the top of it. So you will get to know what kind of indicator that is. And here you will also get brief info. In this particular block, the info is blank, but in most of the other cases you will get certain info here, and then you have the instruments defined, the time period. Shift is look back period. Suppose if you want the current data, current blocks data, current time periods data, it is defined for 10 minutes. Then shift needs to be placed at 0. If you want to go back in time, then you have to use shift 1 to any number you want to look back. And this indicator is going to be calculated for 14 time periods of 10 minutes each. Means we will be taking the data for last 140 minutes. Then we have these output values here, and line 24, and this is the output. Then we can use in different blocks. Suppose if we, for example, if we want to use these in logical, let us take a block. So we can use this in logical part as well. And now we have this line 24. This is the output value. Then we can take it as a first input value here, and we compare this first input to the second input, and then whatever is the second input. Suppose just for example sake, let us write 10 here, and now whatever is the value of this line 24, suppose if it is less than 10, then we can arrange this flow to go to a different setup. If it is greater than 10, then we can arrange it to go to a different setup. It will work differently in both these cases. And if it is equal, then we can arrange accordingly as well. So basically we can do multiple things with this output, and depending on the requirement for us, we can arrange the workflow here. So this is the indicator block, and similarly, this is only an example. We have multiple indicator blocks of different types, and is full listing here. And whichever indicator you want to work with, you can take that particular indicator. And here we have these Fibo pivot, natural R, NATR, trend and envelopes, and WADA A T. So these are all indicators. Now moving to the component part, we have considered the components as well. And the component, it is the type of block which contains various functionalities, and these are basic functionalities, and these are necessary to be defined for our algorithm to work. And there is a brief functional example also given here on this helper page. As you can see, this little candle, and then it has been connected to a if block, and finally it has been connected to open at market. So here you have different functional blocks or components if we consider. Now info, let us also take the example which is there. So here get historical candle, let us choose the on candle as the start point. So here we have this, and these blocks will show this green patch only when all these input parameters are there. Suppose if we remove any of it, then it will turn red, and unless and until all these input parameters are defined, it won't be functional. So as long as it is red, it means it is not functional, the workflow is not going to pass. So here now it has turned green and the workflow is ready to pass. So here we have this component, and this info. Now logical, it can be if, it can be loop year, it can be multiple action. We have, so here now variables we are not going to consider in today's part, but just for a brief explanation, we will see here this variable has been created because we have defined this block, and this info block has resulted into the creation of this fresh variable. Now we have multiple values of this variable: high, open, closing, low, volume, period, instrument, and time. These are all the variables for that particular output, and then we can use this output. Let us take candle low, then we can define certain other parameter on the second side, and then we can choose to allow the flow to happen depending on the conditions which are made. So let us take candle low, and what we can do is we can give some random value here. It's not I'm doing it for explaining purpose. There is no logic behind what value I'm putting in, so don't go into these numbers. And then if we join in the trading block, so suppose we take pending open, and if this condition is fulfilled, then these components will work, and we will have a fresh algorithm simply designed using these all these parameters, all these components, and that's why these are considered of so high importance. This is a still rate, as you can see. It means not all input values have been defined, as I have said. Unless and until all the input values are defined, it is not going to turn green. So for that we are going to need all these input values to be defined, but in today's setup we are not going to do that. So my basic purpose was to explain to you the basic components of the Visual J Forex, and in this today's session we have considered three basic types: the blocks, the indicator, and the components. Tomorrow we will take a brief look of the strategy, data type, and maybe if time permits, we will also consider the variable. So that's it from my side for today's session. We will be back tomorrow and we will continue. This is our explanation of the workings of the Visual J Forex platform, so that in coming times we can start developing our own algorithms, and we can have profitable algorithms. So that's the way we are working on. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day ahead. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.